Hey guys, welcome back to our channel Glitched Velocity. I'm your host Wazahat, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to create dialogue conversations in Coppercube 3D game engine very easily without any hassle. So without further ado, let's jump right into the topic. So go to my website www.𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙪 and download this Coppercube Dialog Manager extension. Once you have downloaded this extension, just extract it on your desktop or wherever you want. You will be provided with a bunch of different files and a folder, emotes, and a dialog test.coppercube sample project file and an rpg.txt file. Let's just open dialog test.ccb file. Let me just maximize it. You will notice that we will have some 2D overlays and a 3D sound node in our scene here. And let me just skip this and simply open this rpg.txt file to show you how this dialogue system works or dialog manager works, because this text file is going to hold all the data for your dialogue conversation. So I already have it open in my Visual Studio here. So as you can see, we have this ** character name, expression, dialogue, sound, and duration ** as in our first line, and this is going to be ignored by the extension. So whatever in your first line, it is going to be ignored by the extension. So your first line starts from your second line. So second line is your first line, third line is your second line, fourth line is your third line, fifth line is your fourth line, and so on. So you have to frame your dialogue conversations in a special format, in a special manner, using this structure. First, you need to write your character name, separated by colon, then your expression name or the character expression or the character emotion, separated by a colon. Then you have your dialogue, whatever dialogue your character is going to speak. Then you have to write your sound file name. Then you have to write your duration. Each of these elements are going to be separated by a colon. So let's just see the first line or the first dialogue. Our first character is 𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝, which is one of my Discord server user. And then we have our second element is frown. Frown is the character expression or the character emotion. Then our dialogue, which is hello, it says hellos. Then we have the sound file or the voiceover file 1.ogg, which is again presented on our desktop, that comes with the extension 1.ogg. It is a sample project and these all are sample sound files. So then we have our duration. Duration is the number or the second for how long the dialogue is going to be displayed on the screen. So it is going to display for 1 second on the screen. Then we have our second line, which has another character, Wazahat, which is I am myself. Then we have our expression for that character, and the expression is a smile. Then we have the dialogue. I'm saying, why are you so happy? Then we have again sound file name, but you will notice that in this first line, or you can say the second line, but it is going to be the first line in the Coppercube game engine or the extension. It is a bit confusing, but you will get to know whenever you use it. So 1.ogg and test, you will notice a difference here. In here, I have provided the extension for the sound file format, but in here, I didn't write anything. It is simply test, and you will notice that there is no test sound file comes with this extension or the sample project. But when you go to the project, you will notice that we have a 3D sound node named test. So the extension allows you to use external sound as well as internal sounds for your games. So you don't have to rely on external sounds if you don't want your game to be open sourced. So you can simply create a 3D sound node and assign a 3D music or whatever sound voiceover file or sound file to this 3D sound node and simply set its play mode to nothing. And that's all you have to do. Then simply use the name for the 3D sound in your dialogue conversation or this text file or in this text file. So we have test here and we have a test 3D scene node in our game. So that's why it is going to play a sound file based on this 3D scene node instead of external sound files. And then we are going to use 1.5 second duration for this dialogue. And then we have third line, which is 𝙎𝙪, and expression is laughing. Then we have $user $my RPG dialog system is going to be easy finally. You will notice that it also uses the same method to display variables on the overlays or to use variables in your dialogue conversations. So you simply create a variable in Coppercube game engine and use that variable inside the dollar signs, and it will replace or change the name here $user$ with the variable value. So whatever value this user variable has, it will be going to display that value instead of this $user$. So this is also a plus point of this extension. And now let's just try running the application. So let's just press Ctrl F10 and we will be provided with the scene and it gives the basic instruction. So here we have our character avatar or avatar images. We have character name here and the character expression and the dialogue, you can see the dialogue overlay. So if I press F, says dialogue is undefined, and that's because you need to make sure that there is no seventh line or no empty lines in your text file or the dialogue text file or rpg.txt file in my case. So you need to make sure there is no empty lines in your data file for the dialogues. So let's just save it. And now if I test the application, and if I press F now, it is going to play the conversation.
Why are you so happy? 𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝 my RPG dialogue system is going to be easy finally.
Wow man, I can't believe it, you created that game in Coppercube.
Yeah, I am glad that I was able to do it.
So yeah, that's it. It is our character avatar and character name, expression and the dialogue, and that's it. It automatically animates the dialogue as well, character by character, and it will play the sound. But you have to use these duration based on your sound files if you are using voiceovers, because it doesn't automatically synchronize with the sound file, sound length or the duration. So you have to manually use the duration with the sound file duration. So this is how you frame your dialogues. Let me just show you how to create a new character or new dialogue line. Let's simply suppose we want to create a new character or add a new character in your conversation. Let's just say Justin, and then we are going to simply use colon to separate character name from expression. Then we are going to write shocked here. Then we are going to again use colon to separate the expression from the dialogue. Then we are going to write the dialogue. So this is a test for glitched velocity YT channel. And then again we are going to use colon. And if you don't want to use the sound file, then simply hit colon again and it will simply play the dialogue without the sound file. You can skip the sound file by using double colon. And then we are going to write the duration, and we want to show this dialogue for 2 seconds maybe. And then simply hit Ctrl S to save. And now if I test the application by pressing Ctrl F10 and press
Hello.
F,
Why are you so 𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝 my RPG?
Wow man, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
the dialogues as well. So it allows us to use a key to skip the dialogues as well. So I used spacebar to skip the dialogues, and you can see it added a new character with the expression shocked and a dialogue we just had written in our rpg.txt file. But you'll notice that it doesn't show any avatar images, and that's because we don't have any avatar images in our emotes folder here. In our emotes folder, we need to create a new character by simply creating a new folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call it Justin because our character name is Justin. So we are going to use the same name here in our emotes folder. And then I'm going to simply copy this amazed emotion from the wazahat and paste it here. And I'm going to rename it to shocked because we use shocked as an expression for our character Justin in our rpg.txt file. So Justin, we have our shocked emotion. Where is Justin? Justin and shocked emotion. And we have emotes here. And then if I go here and test the application, press
Hello.
F.
Why? 𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝 wow man.
Yeah.
Then you will notice that it now shows our shocked animation or shocked emotion for the Justin character. And this emotions or the avatars are going to be in a structured format. Yeah, there need to be an emotes folder, especially emotes folder. You can't use something else. Can't rename your emotes folder to something like textures or images or something like that. It does require you to use the same naming convention. In the emotes folder, you can put whatever character name you want, whatever images you want. It doesn't matter at all. But you have to use emotes folder, and the emotes folder should reside in the same directory as your game folder or the test CCB file or your Coppercube project file. But if you want to skip external textures and images, then you can also do that. What you have to do is simply create the emotes folder and creates all your characters, put all your emotions, photos or textures there, and then simply you have to do is create either you can create an empty node, or I have created a plugin that you can use. So simply go to edit, plugins, and then I'm gonna use where it is loads all textures to empty node. So I'm gonna create here, and I'm gonna create this as 𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝 and hit OK, and then go to emotes 𝙎𝙬𝙪 and simply select it. It's gonna take a time, and I'm gonna close it, and then I'm gonna use it again for the wazahat, load all textures, and I'm gonna call it wazahat and hit OK again. And this time I'm going to select wazahat and I'm going to load it. And that's it. And if I test the application now, and if I press
Hello. Why are you so happy?
you will
𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘
notice it is not
RPG
loading
dialogue
textures
system is going to be
because there is
easy
no
finally.
debug
Wow
overlay,
man, I
because
can't
it is not
believe it. You
using
created
external
that game in
textures now.
Coppercube.
It is
Yeah,
using
I'm
internal
glad that I was
textures.
able to do it.
So you have noticed that it didn't show any debug overlay for the external textures. You can also go here and delete this 𝙎𝙬𝙪 and wazahat folder. And then if I test the application, it is still going to play those
Hello.
Why are you so
animations.
happy?
𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘 my RPG dialogue system is going to...
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can see it is still going to play those animations. Yeah. So you can also embed textures in your Coppercube project. So it allows you to use external sounds and external textures as well as internal sounds and internal textures. All you need to do is you need to make sure that whenever you load the textures in your game like this, if you see here, I have loaded the textures. So whenever you load the textures in your game, you need to make sure that these textures comes from the same folder structure as emotes 𝙎𝙬𝙪 frown.png. So you need to make sure the emotes folder resides there, and then there should be an character folder named as 𝙎𝙬𝙪. Then you can load the texture file from that folder in your game. You can create an cube mesh or an empty sphere mesh and assign that texture to that empty sphere mesh or the cube mesh. But you can also use the plugin that I have provided you to embed the external texture into your game, and that's it. Now it is all about how this extension works. Now let's just move to the main part. What is this extension actually? So let's select this new 3D scene node here, and if I go to behavior and if I go to when a key is pressed do something, you will notice that I have assigned F as the key, and if I open it, then I have an extension action dialog conversations. And this is very easy. There's nothing to worry about, and it is not that complicated. It is really simple, really easy, and it does pretty much everything. You don't have to do anything in here. All you have to do is make changes to this RPG text file or the dialog text file you are going to use for your dialogues. So the first one is file name. In my case, it is rpg.text file. You can use whatever file you have. For example, dialog.text file or visual novel.text file or language.text file or dialog, whatever you want. It doesn't matter at all. So in my case, I have rpg.text file in my desktop. So I've used that file name. Then we have start from line. So it is going to be the line number that from where you want your dialogue conversation to get started. For example, 2 is going to be our 1. So we have to write 1 here because the first line is going to be ignored. So 2 becomes 1, 3 becomes 2, 4 becomes 3. It is a bit confusing, but yeah, how it works. This is how it works. So let me just change it to 2, and stop at line is 15. But as you can see, we are not utilizing 15 lines, all the 15 lines. So the dialogue conversation just ends at line 7. It doesn't go beyond that line 7. So it automatically stops there if you don't have any more lines in your dialog text file or rpg.text file. So let's just change it to 4 so that the dialogue will stop or the conversation will stop at a specific line. Whenever the dialogue reaches a specific line here, for example, this one is going to be the 4th. Wow, man, I can't believe it. You created that game in Coppercube is going to be the 4th line. So we are using 4 here, and our conversation will start from, why are you so happy? To, wow, man, I can't believe it that you created the game in Coppercube. So then we have skip key code. So you can skip the dialogue conversation with a key code or with a key press. I'm using 32, and 32 is the key code for a spacebar. If you don't know what key code you are going to use for your keys, then you can simply go to your browser and search for JavaScript key codes, and it will give you a bunch of results. You can use whatever website you want, but I always prefer to use toptel.com. So click this link, and now if you press any key, it will show you the key code event for that specific key. For example, if I press A, it will show me 65 as the key code. If I press spacebar, it will show me 32 as the key code. If I press F, it is going to show me 70, or S, it is going to show 83, and so on. You can use whatever key code you want to skip your dialogue. So I'm going to use 32 because it is easy to press spacebar to skip the dialogue. And then we have image extension. So in our emotes folder here, you can see I'm using .png images. So I have to put .png as image extensions. If you are using JPEG images or something else that is supported by Coppercube or Coppercube supported texture file, then you can provide that extension here. Simply rename it to JPG or something like that. So I'm gonna leave it to PNG because I don't use JPEG images. Then we have overlay folders. It is really noticeable that you have to select overlay folder instead of overlays in your game, because the extension uses folder, not the overlays. So you have to select the dialog overlay folder, character name overlay folder, expression overlay folder, avatar overlay folder. And this is because there is a bug in the editor that prevents the external extension from using multiple overlays. So whenever you select an overlay in the scene node properties, it is going to reset if you select any other properties for the scene node selection. So in order to prevent that bug, you need to put your overlays in folder. So you create a folder for your dialogues, a folder for your character name, a folder for your expression, a folder for your avatar, and put your overlays inside those folders. And simply in your extension, instead of the overlays, just provide your overlay folder nodes. So dialog overlay folder node is going to be your dialog folder that holds the dialog overlay. And same goes for character name overlay folder, expression overlay folder, and avatar overlay folder. And you can use whatever name you want for these folders or overlays. It doesn't matter at all. Naming convention is not necessary for the dialog folders or dialog overlays. It doesn't matter. But make sure that there are no more scene nodes or no overlays in these folders. So simply create single folders for single overlays for your dialog conversations. And then we have this action when finished. You can also execute an action whenever the dialogue gets completed or the conversation gets completed. So simply let me just create a cube mesh in order to showcase this feature. So I have created a cube mesh here. And then if I go to new 3D scene, in our behavior and in our action, we have action when finished, and we want to change the texture of our cube mesh with something else. Select the cube mesh, and we want to change the texture of cube mesh with this cemented or something like that. Now if I test the application by pressing Ctrl F10, it will start playing from the second line till the fifth line. And once the dialogue conversation gets completed, it is going to wait. Let me just delete this camera so that we can see the cube mesh in our scene. So now we can see the cube mesh, and if I test the application, it will be going to play the conversation from the second line to the fifth line. And once the conversation gets completed, it is going to change the texture of the cube mesh. So let me just press F.
Why are you so happy?
𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙘𝙝 my RPG dialogue system is going to be easy finally.
Wow man, I can't believe it, you created that game in Coppercube.
As you can see, it didn't started from hello, it started from why are you so happy, and it simply stopped at wow man, I can't believe it that you created that game in Coppercube. And the texture of the cube gets changed when the conversation ends, and that's how it works. And we have all these lines. We have up to 6 lines here. We actually have 7 lines, but I'm gonna say we have 6 lines because it is going to ignore the first line, you know. I know my accent changes and my voice fluctuates a lot, but you have to cope with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how this extension works, and I believe it makes really easy for RPG games and visual novels to frame conversations or dialogues, and it automatically does all the things. It automatically captures the character names and emotions and avatars and all those stuff with the text file. So I believe it is a pretty useful extension, and hope you like this extension. And if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, or if you are new to the channel, just subscribe it and press the bell icon. And if you want to purchase the Coppercube Pro or Studio Edition, then you can support me by purchasing through my affiliated links. Links are in the description down below. And you can also get 10% discount if you use my code GLITCHEDVELO to purchase Coppercube Pro or Coppercube Studio Edition. That's how you can support the development of Coppercube game engine as well. So Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope the video is not boring or not so confusing. No, and I believe I covered all the topics in the video, but if I missed something, let me just check it. I have written some key points somewhere on my mobile phone. Let me just go through it. You can close the video if you want. I'm just gonna check it if I haven't missed something. Yeah. So I have covered the character name, character expression. Based on character name and expression, change of avatar. Avatars can be loaded through a folder structure. Emotes, character name, emotion, dialogue with text animation, sound playback, autoplays, and auto. Yeah, one more thing. Sound automatically stops as well. Whenever you skip the dialogues, it automatically stops. It doesn't play the previous sound for the previous dialogue. It gets stopped automatically. So that's also a feature of this extension. And I already told you that you use duration for the sound files or the voiceovers for the duration of display of these dialogues. So it doesn't manually synchronize with the duration of the sound files or the voiceovers you are going to use. So it is better if you manually provide the sound duration as your dialogue duration. So that's pretty much it. That's all for today's videos. I hope you enjoyed the video. So bye bye. Take care. Hasta la vista.